want to make a video on the movie The Great Race. It was done in 1965, and this movie is based on actual real life Great Race that was done in 1908. I don't know if a lot of people know that. It's a funny movie, and it's a slapstick. I one of my favorite movies, but I don't know how many people realize that this movie is actually based on an actual event that in 1908, that whenever very few roads were available, they went literally around the world. And how they did it was they started in New York and went across the United States, moving west. And there was a lot of pitfalls because, like I said, there wasn't any roads made. But how they got over the water as they went up to Alaska, and I think there was only 6 cars in the race, and they went up to Alaska, caught a ship, and went across and picked it up in Russia, and went through Russia and all Europe, ending up in Paris. But it's amazing to me that in 1908 that they were able to do it. I think there is even a book on it. I'll try to post a link to this book describing it as pretty incredible. But this movie, I really enjoy this movie. It's a slapstick movie, but with Jack Lemmon, Peter Falk, Natalie Wood, and Tony Curtis. But I thought they were perfect in this movie, and Blake Edwards directed this thing with Henry Mancini providing the music. But pretty incredible. I like all the work that they did on this thing, even down to this one picture here is the Leslie Special. That this car was based on the actual car, the Thomas Flyer. At the time that the American entry into that race, and that car actually won the race. But this isn't the actual, obviously they built 5 of these cars for this movie. And I love the one that Professor Fate, played by Jack Lemmon, and Peter Falk is pictured there, and that Hannibal 8. That car is so cool that they put all these little things on it with the little that cone on the front of it, like a heating instrument. They heat their way through snow, and the thing had a scissor lift on the car that lifted it up, like 10 feet up in the air. So the idea to get over any obstacles. But then a cannon would pop out of the front of it. There's a lot of stunts that they do on the beginning of the show that is pretty cool. They of course, Tony Curtis and Natalie Wood will fall for each other in the movie. So here's a picture. They ended up on an iceberg, and obviously they didn't. It's just a slapstick parody. But if you ever get a chance to watch this movie, the movie is funny, is really good. And towards the end of the movie, there's a pie throwing contest that all the actors get involved in. And when I was reading about this, that interesting show, video on YouTube about describing about the pie throwing part of the movie. That they ended up throwing 4,000 pies. It's unreal. That I think they're just going for a record to go over any previous, pies being thrown. But the pies thrown scene was taken over 5 days of shooting. And so I was reading about it in Wikipedia, and the 5 days went over a weekend. Well, the actors took a break from the show for the weekend, and they come back to the set, and there's the disgusting smell of the aroma of all these leftover pies that was there. So they had to, take whatever time it took to clean it up, and then after they cleaned it all up to get rid of the smell, they had to throw a bunch of pies just to make it look like they were still in the middle of a pie fight. So pretty incredible scene, and what they did for, I don't know, like 2 minutes of film for 5 days of effort. But pretty cool. And Natalie Wood looks beautiful as ever in this movie here. And that's about it. Oh, it did remind me of slapstick, so that's why I put a picture of Three Stooges in there. But I think it was more based on his idea was Laurel and Hardy. Right. Bye.
Undoubtedly the 1907 Thomas Flyer. In 1908, the newspapers Le Matin of Paris and the New York Times sponsored an automobile race around the world, from New York City to Paris, France, a distance of 12,427 land miles, covering 2 continents. 13 cars entered the race, but only 6 showed up at the starting line in New York City on February 12, 1908. 3 entries from France and 1 each from Germany, Italy, and the United States. The 1907 Thomas Flyer. On July 30th, 171 incredible days later, the Thomas crossed the Paris finish line in first place. The publicity generated by the win of the global race did little to revive sales of the Thomas. At a cost of $4,500, it was one of the most expensive cars of its day, and a powerful one too, with a 4-cylinder engine that developed 70 horsepower. The company passed into receivership, and the 1907 Thomas Flyer was all but forgotten. Bill Harrah purchased the historic automobile in 1964 and painstakingly restored it to the condition it was in when it finished the race. Also on display with the Flyer is the trophy it won in the race, the largest sporting trophy in existence, at over 1,600